In another massive comms failure by the Liberal Party of Canada, in an attempt to attack Pierre Poilievre's Conservatives on the record of crime, the Liberals ended up just highlighting how terrible their own record on the issue is. For some reason, over the month of December, because of this voting marathon that happened, where the Conservatives had stated that they were going to oppose every single bill that the Liberals put up unless they put a pause on the carbon tax for home heating, the Liberals have been pretending that this now means that they can post about how the Conservatives oppose every single good thing in the world because technically the Conservatives voted against it or opposed it, even though they stated why they were doing so. Is not working, and this post highlights why it's not working. Because when you keep accusing the Conservatives of being bad on some issues, it means that voters are going to evaluate your own performance on the issues. And it led to this baffling post about crime. It reads, just this month, Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives voted to cut funding to combat gun and gang violence. Will continue standing up for Canadians and stopping Conservative cuts. Just nutty nonsense. Also, the Conservatives didn't vote to cut anything. They were not in charge of the legislation coming up for votes in the parliament, and all the Liberal votes were in order to increase funding of something or to divert money to another initiative. And the Conservatives just opposed it, saying that we will support it if you put a pause on the carbon tax for home heating. So the Conservatives never actually voted in favor of cuts because cuts were never what was being voted on. Regardless, whoever posted this from the Liberal Party, whoever strategized that they should post this, should be fired. I'm obviously a Conservative. Shameless plug. I'm running for the Conservative Party nomination for Calgary Signal Hill. If you live in that riding, buy a membership. I have the description for my campaign or the link to my campaign website in the description below. But anyways, whoever posted this needs to be fired. And even though I'm a Conservative, I'll at least give the Liberals some advice as to why you don't post something like this. Because as soon as you post something like that, the typical voter, someone who's not even that engaged in politics, is just going to sit back and think, well, what are you guys doing on crime? Well, didn't you guys lower a bunch of mandatory minimums? Haven't you guys been the ones not actually trying to keep people granting bail to repeat violent offenders? Aren't you those people? You guys passed Bill 75 and Bill 5. You guys passed two bills that lowered minimums and reduced penalties for committing crimes while out on bail or violating parole. That's you guys. That's what you never post stuff that makes your own, it gives your opposition or the average voter, room to look through your own backyard. Never do that. Although, to be fair, if the Liberals were to avoid issues that they had a bad record on because they don't want the Conservatives or just people out on the internet to counterpunch them, they could effectively talk about no issues because they failed on all fronts. But crime is probably the worst for them. And I just want to highlight a few statistics to go through what the Liberals' record on crime has wrought, just through Statistics Canada here. So this reads here that violent crime has risen by 5% over the year 2022, following a 6% increase in 2021. Now, crime was down in 2020, not by that much. Obviously, people were in lockdown, so they weren't actually able to go out and commit crimes, or it would have been riskier to commit crimes because it's harder to, commit a crime when you're the only one on the streets and police can immediately get to wherever you're causing trouble. But the fact that we have been having year-on-year increases in crime, I've literally been doing a report on crime in the city of Toronto in the background of the show. I'm finishing my master's degree. And since Trudeau took office, almost exactly when he took office in 2015, we've been having a few to like a 1 to 5-6% increase in crime. I think even higher on some years, every single year since he took office in 2015. It's not been pretty, and it has been a direct result of Supreme Court rulings as well as Liberal Party legislation that takes crime far less seriously, that reduces mandatory minimums for gang members carrying illegal weapons. That's something they did, and they have the gall to try and go after the Conservatives on gun violence issues. It's because the Conservatives supposedly don't want to confiscate assault-style weapons. One, assault-style weapons is a nonsense term. And two, law-abiding gun owners are 1/3 as likely to commit a violent crime compared to the average Canadian. The law-abiding gun owners are not only not the problem, they are the antithesis of the problem. They are those who are definitely not committing crimes. It is gang members and other criminals who the Liberals are letting get away with their crimes, who are the major cause of gun violence. who buys a gun registered to themselves to commit crimes. That's a stupid crime, which is why nobody pretty much does it. It's a blue moon scenario to ever happen. But the liberals, for some reason, think that you're just going to read this post and think, "Wow, the conservatives are trying to cut funding to combat gun violence and gun crime." Nobody's actually going to think that unless you're the most hardcore TrueAnon liberal who thinks Trudeau can do no wrong, even if Trudeau admits he did something wrong. That's happened in the past. Trudeau's admitted he did something wrong, and the TrueAnon folks are still trying to justify why he's completely in the right. It's nutty. But anyways, moving on. I just want to highlight a couple more of these statistics because I do like the way that Statistics Canada lays things out. One government department, if I was in government, I would not cut anything to. They do good work. I wish they actually had a better budget so they could, make better graphics. But budget limitations. But crime severity in 2022 went up by 4.3%. In crime per 100,000 people, 5%. 4.62% for violent crime. Nonviolent crime went up by 4.1%. And I hate the way that the left talks about nonviolent crime, shoplifting, loitering, encampments by homeless people, drug use. They act like they're all victimless crimes because no one got physically hurt. Retail theft, all this drug use that happens in like the downtown cores of our cities, those destroy businesses, they destroy neighborhoods. It's a myth that poverty drives crime. It is the most dumb correlation ever to think that because someone's poor, they're committing crimes. Every criminal is technically poor because no one wants to employ them because they're a criminal. It's actually, in fact, that crime drives poverty. Go to areas with high crime, and it's always going to be that there's no businesses there. Nobody wants to start a business. There's crazy amounts of theft. So who in their right mind would try and sell anything when you have to have so many extra security features and whatnot? I worked in a liquor store. Our prices went up significantly because of crime, because of all the extra measures we had to take in order to try and prevent it, or in order to raise prices to make up for thefts we had. It's just the reality of the world. There's a reason why you can find poor neighborhoods where nobody commits crime, because poverty has nothing to do with crime. It's all about character and social stability. And the Liberals have been doing great work in destabilizing Canada's social bonds, as well as making people poorer. And then they're saying that, well, it's obviously poverty that's causing crime. Well, if it is poverty, stop taxing people so much. It's ridiculous. They're illogic when it comes to the crime issue. But anyways, I just want to highlight that incredibly dumb post. It's great to see that they're being bit for it. I think they were getting severely ratioed. I don't think I showed the statistics in that tweet. But yeah, every comment's like, you guys realize that you reduce mandatory minimums for illegal weapon possession. There was so many people saying, hey, hasn't crime been going up? Hey, hasn't been gun violence going up? Hey, haven't you guys been literally not enforcing the law through these like really loose bail rules that you've been passing? Everyone knows that they're full of crap on this. Anyways, that should be it for me today. I have my usual Give, Send, Go link in the description of the video. I'm being sued by a billionaire on behalf of the National Telegraph because we do good reporting, and so we ended up getting sued for it. We are all the facts are on our side. They're just trying to bleed us of money. They specifically sued me in Alberta instead of Daniel Boardman in Ontario because Alberta does not have anti-SLAPP rules, which means that I can't file for this lawsuit to be thrown out early. I have to grind through it for a few years before I can apply to get it thrown out of court. So he's been just trying to incur costs on me. So if you want to donate $5, $10, any amount of money in order to help me pay for this stuff, it really helps me out. Other than that, you can like, share, subscribe. That really also helps me out as well. Ends up increasing revenue, increasing eyes on the channel. I appreciate it all. And then also, of course, like I said before, I'm running for the Calgary Signal Hill Conservative Party nomination. So if you live in Calgary Signal Hill, definitely buy a membership. Make sure your family has memberships who live in the area so you can vote for me, number one, in the nomination. Even if you don't live in Calgary Signal Hill, make sure you know which riding you live in federally, provincially, and which ward you live in your city or town. It's very important to know where you are geographically in terms of your standing in politics so that you're more effective in knowing sort of what the on-the-ground issues are so that you can more effectively advocate for conservatism. You can go after left-wing politicians who might be in your area. You can try and put in better conservative nominees into your riding if there's a nomination race happening. Always make sure you look up who the candidates are. Make sure you engage, because if you don't engage, you can't whine about what happens in the country. Other than that, hope everyone has a fantastic day.